It's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the spiritual discussion program. I am Saad in southeast London, and very shortly my colleague Gregory will be joining us. Right now it is dark, and it's been, I can say, well, it was quite sunny today, and a little bit cool, but no rain, or not much rain. So that was not no rain, there was not much rain, so that was nice. With me now is Gregory. Gregory, how are you doing, and how is the weather where you are?
Well, it's fine.
Okay.
It was a bit sunny, and a bit, few showers. Now it's dark.
Okay. And dear listeners, I also want to say happy Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse. I found out it's a fire horse, they're calling it. And also Ramadan is starting, and Lent is starting tomorrow, and some people are celebrating Ramadan actually on Thursday. So yeah, some countries do it differently. So yes, welcome everyone. As I say, this is the spiritual discussion program, and the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic for tonight is what we experience in life is our doing. What we experience in life is our doing. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments. You can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message, in the light of truth, by Uprushin, is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals in important, fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for our discussion tonight is what we experience in life is our doing. What we experience in life is our doing. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And then there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. So I'd like to start with looking up the meaning of the words in the topic tonight, which again is what we experience in life is our doing. I found really just 2 keywords. Well, there are more than that, but I just decided to look at 2 of the keywords in the dictionary. The first one is called experience. So in the dictionary we have 2 definitions given for the word experience. The first one, it says practical contact with an observation of facts or events. And actually they give an example of this. He had learned his lesson by painful experience. So let me repeat that. So the meaning of the word experience: practical contact with an observation of facts or events. An example is in the sentence, he had learned his lesson by painful experience. Gregory, what do you say about this definition of experience?
Well, such definitions are helpful, although they really haven't looked into the essence of an experience or the manifestation of an experience. That has not been looked into.
Okay, let me look at the second meaning. I'm not sure if this is better, but let's see. It says an event or occurrence which leaves an impression on someone. An example is audition day is an enjoyable experience for any 7-year-old. So let me repeat that. An event or occurrence which leaves an impression on someone. Example of that, audition day is an enjoyable experience for any 7-year-old. How is this one now, Gregory?
That is also helpful, but there are some areas it hasn't mentioned.
Okay. Actually, in the dictionary, I found they gave experience as a word, as noun, and then they also gave it as a verb. And the verb, they gave it a little bit different, the meaning. So I just thought I'd better read this as well. So this says, so again, meaning of the word experience: encounter or undergo, in brackets, an event or occurrence. Is that any? Yeah,
these
go on.
things are helpful, but
Right.
what is being stressed here is that how that event or encounter manifests, that has not been touched on at all.
Right, how it manifests. Okay, I'll keep a note of that. Let me ask you now, actually, Gregory. Do you want to say a bit more about how it manifests now?
Or it can be discussed along the line.
Okay, I thought that was a better way, actually. So that's fine. Okay, let's continue. So the next key word in the topic, again, the topic is what we experience in life is our doing. So I thought the other words we should look at is doing. So doing, in the dictionary, it says the activities in which a particular person engages. I'll just stick with that. The activities in which a particular person engages. How's that meaning, Gregory?
That is also helpful.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, I know in the modern world we like to check in Google AI. Sometimes it gives some useful things. Sometimes it's not so useful. Let me see. Let me just read what it says, and let's see if there's some comment we can make. So, life experience. So I put the whole topic title into Google AI. So the topic is again, what we experience in life is our doing. So it came up with this. Life experiences are heavily shaped by personal actions, choices, and focus, acting as a reflection of internal and often subconscious decisions. While external factors exist, individuals construct their reality through the meanings they assign to events and the subsequent actions taken, ultimately making a life a do-it-yourself project. Gregory, what do you say about these words?
One, we need to go through that very carefully because
Okay,
I couldn't follow.
that's fine. I read quite a bit. Let me go one sentence at a time, or even half a sentence. So this starts with, life experiences are heavily shaped by personal actions, choices, and focus. Let me stop there. Let me continue a little bit. Acting as a reflection of internal. So these are so let me repeat that. Life experiences are heavily shaped by personal actions, choices, and focus.
These are descriptions which are also helpful.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Actually, let me just see. And then it continues. That the internal, it says, is to do with subconscious decisions. Sometimes you make subconscious decisions. That's what it's saying. So we might not be aware that we have made some decision, and that has a consequence. We might not know that. Okay, let me carry on. Then it says that while external factors exist, individuals construct their reality through the meanings they assign to events and subsequent actions taken, ultimately making life a do-it-yourself project. So Gregory, so it's basically saying our reality is shaped by what meaning we give to the events that come to us, that we experience, and so that's how we and then that results in our subsequent action. So basically, we do some action or decision, and that produces some, let's say, consequence. But when that, let's say, that consequence is, let's say, observed or experienced by us, we start to make some meaning out of it. Some people, as I say, let's say it's raining, and some people will complain, while some people will be happy. Let's say farmers, because they need that rain, especially if it's been very dry for a long time. They want that rain to come. So it's the same event happening, but the way people respond or experience can be different according to what meaning they are giving to this event. So do you want to say any comment on that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't asked. There wasn't really a question there. It was just we're just looking at how can I say, how people see things. Okay. Now, yes, let me go into my first, let's say, proper question. Yes, what is Gregory? You were going to talk about manifest. That was not, how can I say, mentioned in the dictionary. So, what really is experiencing?
Watching or listening to the definitions given earlier in the dictionary, you find that there's an encounter. What was not discussed is what is encountering what. Most of the time, the dictionary is referring to outward activities. These outward activities which are perceptible to the five senses. That is one manifestation. When one considers one's thoughts, that may be considered another area of manifestation. And then subsequently, when one's intuitions are concerned, then you'll find another category of manifestation. The dictionary meaning didn't express all this. It just maybe considered the first case, which is the outward one. So it is the impression which the individual gathers, the external impression which is perceptible to the five senses, the thought impression, and finally the impressions of the intuitive perception. When these three are aligned, or when they resonate, then you find it has a strong mark, strong experience on the spirit. That is what is being referred to, because the human personality here on earth has the physical body. Only through the physical body is he able to experience externally. That external experience differs or manifests differently through one's thoughts. In some cases, there will not be any earthly manifestation. You just be observing in your thoughts. You are reflecting upon it. That is also an experience. The one many of us are not used to is that of the intuitive perception. So there are three different categories. And when these categories align, when they harmonize, it becomes an unforgettable experience, a mark within the spirit which it uses to mature.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and picture that you've painted for us. So you mentioned there are the three categories of experiencing. Just to repeat, so there is the outer, you could say the physical, external experiencing, which we can see, or with our five senses we can pick that. Then there's these thoughts, which of course we don't see, but we are aware. And then finally, there's the intuition or intuitive perception, which maybe we are not so aware of, although it's there. So that's another experiencing. And as you said, if all three align, then that's a true experience, or that's an unforgettable experience, as you said. So yes, I'm just summarizing that. So thank you for that. Now, so again, we go back to the top. No, let me before do that. So, Gregory, this word experiencing is quite neutral, because people can, in quotes, be suffering, having sorrow, or even having joy, and in maybe within a feeling of peace also. So these are all, how can I say, more deep level of experiencing, yes, so it wouldn't be, let's say you eat some nice delicious food that you feel happy. That's not gonna, how can I say, that only lasts for that time. But something that is, let's say, a terrible, harsh experience, you can become maybe sorrow out of that, become sorrow from that, and that will leave a mark, like you were saying. So that's quite deep. And similarly, if it's something joyful, that will, very uplifting. Let's say, it seems to most people it could be the birth of their child, or some other such an occasion, which lifts a person up a lot, very, deeply. So, so what my point was, Gregory, when we were talking about experiencing on the three levels, it was, how can I say, very neutrally put, so that, what I want to ask you in a way, Gregory, is, let's say, a joyful experience and a sorrowful experience of equal, how can I say, power, or I'm not probably saying it correctly, but impact, or is a joyful one somehow, I don't know, of course it's uplifting, but somehow, let's say, more impactful. So basically, is a sorrowful experience and a joyful experience of equal impact, or is one more than the other?
One must ask oneself the intensity of an experience. If the intensity of that which is joyful is so great, or if the sorrow of an event is so great, then these leave very strong impression on the inner personality. There are some, let us say, you're trying to sew something, I have a pinprick, and you pressed it, there was blood or no blood. Of course, that experience may not be compared to an experience where one had a fracture or a terrible injury. However, both sorrow or joy and joy, they help to establish a firm impression within the human personality. It is this that the human personality, which is of spirit, it is these impressions that it uses for its maturity.
Thank you very much for that, Gregory. Yes, there's what you provide is the context and all these things, and the thing is, yes, there's joy, there's sorrow, but the idea of all this is to grow in maturity, not just in quotes having an experience for the sake of having an experience. There's a purpose behind the experience. So yes, so thank you for that. Now, so just I'm going to repeat the topic again because my next question is relevant to that. So basically, we are saying the topic is what we experience in life is our doing. So Gregory, I want to now ask you, what is our doing?
One may replace that word doing with another, our decision. So what the individual experiences in life, be it here on earth in the world of matter or hereafter, that is completely dependent on the decisions that individual has made. The decision in thoughts, the decisions in deeds which are perceptible to the five senses, the decisions in one's intuitions or spiritual decisions. All these have to be considered. These are decisions which the human personality has made, and therefore, in accordance with the laws of creation, they form an environment around the human personality. And in that environment, which the human personality has created for itself, it is through that lens is now able to observe many other things, how it proceeds either downwards or remains the same or upwards. That becomes the inner attitude which is decisive.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for that answer. And again, the picture you've shown to us about our, attitude and the direction we can be progressing, you can say, upwards, downwards, or remaining the same. So, yeah, thank you for that. Now, dear listeners, I want to let you know you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Aprushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is what we experience in life is our doing. What we experience in life is our doing. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll come across a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which is what we experience in life is our doing. And after the show ends at 8 p.m., you can listen to a recording of the show also on YouTube. So go to youtube.com and type in the search box the same words, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, what we experience in life is our doing. And there's a third place you can listen to us, which is Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/radio/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, I want to ask, is everything we experience our doing? Yeah, is
one had already suggested that expression doing to be replaced by decision.
okay.
And in that case, it is the decision of the human personality that is the first step, and therefore through the attitude you find the further experiencing, the further movement from the initial position becomes contingent on the inner attitude. So through the inner attitude, the personality is able to proceed in a given direction. Therefore, whatever is able to experience in that direction, it is only a matter of choice, because it has decided to proceed along a particular direction. And whatever lays in the path of that direction, of course, it will experience.
Thank you for that answer there, Gregory, and so directing us to our decisions, and attitude being the how can I say, the cause of our experiencing, what type of experience we go through. So, okay, so let's, yeah. But let me ask something else there, Gregory. So I said, my previous question was, is everything that happens, that we experience, is our, let's say, through our decisions? But then, Gregory, there will be experiences at least we think, which happen to us, not with our own involvement, but others. Because in this world we don't live on our own; we live with other people around us. And yes, you can take an action or decision, but others too can make a decision, an action without your involvement. They do their own decision. Of course, everybody does. So, but then when somebody makes a decision or even an action, it has a consequence on you, and it can have that. Just as much you can also do the same with your decision, of course. So my then question arises from that is every experience of our experience, caused by our decision, or could it be that others, their decision has, how can I say, can give us let's say, an experience that we may not want somehow, so almost like other people can affect us without us asking anything from them, I hope that makes sense. So it's almost like, is our life only governed through our own decisions, or is it not affected also by other people's decisions?
When one reflects calmly, it must be repeated. When a human personality makes a decision, that decision helps to furnish an environment for that personality, and the inner attitude of that personality is what drives it forward. Now, because a decision has been made, the paths which have now accrued from that particular decision, whatever lies in that path, then you will find the human personality is likely to experience it. If, however, it changes its decision, then it will proceed along a different path, and therefore will not arrive at some substations or some other experience along a different path. So the key here is the free will to decide where to go along a certain path. So it's not a matter of, some people, of course, when you have decided to take a path and you are following it, there are some other people who makes a path also. If both of them cross, then you will experience that. If it doesn't cross, then you will not experience it.
Thank you for this answer. And of course, as you say, if you calmly reflect on this point about somebody making a decision, and that creates the environment, let's say, similar to what that decision is. It's a consequence of that. And then what I'm seeing is, Gregory, if others who are of a similar well, we don't have to say decision, but have made a decision which results in a similar environment to the one that we have, then of course, as you say, we can cross paths. If not, we don't cross paths. So that makes sense. So what you can say, there has to be something, so that in a way shows that there's always a, how can I say, justice there, that your free will is, how can I say, governing you, the route that you're going to, what you're going to experience, basically. So that sort of makes sense, even if others may also do something which is similar to, the making the environment that we have also made. So that you could say, I don't want to use the word coincidence, but that's how it works. So thank you for bringing that out. Yes. Now, this may sound a bit weird, but let me just say it as well. So does that mean, Gregory, that everything that we experience is, I'm going to say, our fault, but fault can be positive, it's looked at in a negative way. But let me say it in a different way. Are we the cause of what we experience?
When that question arises, are we the cause of what we experience? One only needs to go back to the decision. The human personality is responsible for its decisions. Having made a decision, whatever occurs along the path in which that decision subsequently unfolds, you will find, because we have made that decision, many a thing may come our path which initially we had not taken into account. We haven't taken into account in our intuitions or in our thoughts, but we ourselves have made a decision. The idea of fault, all these have come about by considering things only from a one-sided perspective. When you have an individual strolling along a path, or you have some wealth falling into their laps without having considered it, no one turns around and says, oh, it's my fault that I have this wealth that has fallen into my path. Many will observe to themselves that they must be good people. That was why that occurred to them, or they have been blessed. None talk about faults. But should they encounter an unpleasant happening, then the question arises, is that my fault? So if the individual wants to be fair, then it must consider things from a neutral point of view. And that neutral point of view is that once you have an individual making a decision, whatever lies in the path of that particular decision, it will experience. It may be pleasant or it may be unpleasant.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for again clarifying this, you could say, the manifestation of our decisions in the experiences that we encounter or go through. The free will is clearly the decider of the consequences that we go experience. So this is like a fundamental point of understanding that is necessary to recognize the experience that we are going through. In the moment of the experiencing, especially if it's suffering, we may not recognize that. Or even like you said, if you win the lottery, you wouldn't care what is the cause. You just you enjoy the money rather than try to understand why it happened to me. So, because when you're suffering, you definitely want to know why. So, and yet it's the same, you could say, actions and then the resulting consequences which are making that experience. Either it is joyful or, enjoyable, as you said, or it could be, or let's say pleasant, or it could be suffering and unpleasant. So the basically what we are saying, that's why we are saying all of these things, they are neutral. It's not about good, in quotes, good luck or bad luck, good things or bad things. There's laws that govern this experiencing, they are neutral. It's just how we see it. We might think of it, oh, that's good or that's bad. So thank you for that. Now, so Gregory, I know I gave a little bit of a shallow example at the beginning of the show, or earlier in the show, about when it's raining. Somebody may complain that it's raining, and the farmer, maybe he will be happy for the rain, because that will, especially after a long dry season period, that it will be good for his crops, have the rain. So it's the same event of rain, but the way two people experience it can be quite different. I know that rain is a very shallow, in a way, to look at. Normally, it's the tough experience or deep experiences that we are more affected by, let's say. So, this is a bit sensitive scenario, but I would like to go through it, because again it makes us reflect deeply about this experiencing being coming through our decisions. So this one, as I said, very sensitive. So let's say somebody has been raped, and let's say most people will say, oh, the rapist is the criminal here, and all the blame goes to that rapist. But what we find, the victim of the rape somehow feels guilty. They don't know exactly the reason, because outwardly they won't think they've done anything to deserve it. But then they feel this guilt that maybe, they allowed something, the way they were, whatever it is, I don't want to give any specific example of it, something make them feel guilty. Now, and I know, Gregory, nobody would say, oh, I decided to be raped. I mean, that's not anybody going to say that or think that way. So this is just not going to come up in that way. But since we have said our experiencing is through the decisions that we make, it comes through the decisions that we make. And so one will wonder, in this scenario, which is a very, sensitive case, that how can it be, I'm looking I know I'm not giving any specific cases, and I don't want to do that, but let's say normally it's a woman who's raped, not mostly men. So, and a man is the one who is the rapist. So, and let's say it's a stranger, or to make it a bit quite different, that sort of a crime. And so, as I say, Gregory, saying what you have said up to now, one will ask, oh, what could have led for this rape to happen to this lady, woman? What would be the cause of it? If the cause is through her decision, of course, she didn't invite a rape. We are clear on that, and this is even a stranger. So, how could that basically, Gregory, arise? That and don't forget, Gregory. I also mentioned that there's these women. Many of them feel guilt within themselves. So that is, one will wonder why. Why is that there? So could you just help us to understand why would somebody? How could there be a decision that could lead to this rape? Let's say from the victim, and why would that victim feel guilty?
Very simply, one must go back to the making of the decision to follow a particular path. And when you follow a particular path because you've decided on it, what is stressed is that incidences along that path, that is due to the inner attitude you have adopted to follow that path. That does not mean that you know precisely what that path will bring you. Therefore, one must now understand deeply the advice that Jesus gave when he says, watch and pray. That means vigilance and alertness. When the individual has made a decision to follow a certain path, it should be very watchful. It should be on the alert. So it's not a matter of I made my decision and I go to sleep. You've made a decision that should help to awaken the individual of the challenges which may lie in that path. Therefore, that admonition to watch, to be awake, not only in the earthly sense, where the five senses are considered, but also in one's thoughts, and above all, in one's intuitions. That alertness that calls for the three of them, that is important. The vigilance is important. Why? Because even through one's intuition, one can have what one refers to as the early warning. Along that path, the individual has decided to follow. If that path is being watched over diligently, if one is awake in his watchfulness, then the possibility is there that before such an incident takes shape in deeds which are perceptible to the five senses, that individual must have had some sensing of that which is most likely to be unpleasant. Therefore, that individual must take the necessary steps to avoid such. If, however, you have an individual who is not awake, who is not vigilant, who is not alert at these signals, which one's intuition or maybe one's thoughts, you know, has detected along the line, then you will find that it becomes too late. The individual is trapped. Therefore, the individual must be awake not only intellectually, where the thoughts are also involved and in deeds, but must be awake spiritually. In such a way, you will find that many an ill effect is avoided, such that what you mentioned as rape may be annulled even before it precipitates as a gross material happening.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this explanation and answer you've given. It really, how can I say, hopefully opens our eyes to the absolute necessity to keep awake at all times, you know, no matter what decision you have made, anybody has made, because let's say you, even if, let's just say it like this, say you, in quotes, are a good person and you think in a good way, it doesn't mean others are like that. And and just because you're thinking you're good, no bad thing can happen to you. However, we know in the world there are, in quotes, bad people or bad things happen. People do bad things, evil things, and it's possible, if you just say, let's say walking along the street or anywhere, you can encounter them without realizing. However, as you pointed, Gregory, if we are watching and praying, which means being alert, vigilant, and using our intuition, because intuition is really the inner voice of our spirit, and it is able to sense on a very deep level danger or anything really that might happen or is on the path that you are on. And so, of course, that is a warning. But I'm going to ask that in my next question, Gregory. So we should take that warning into account when we sense it or it comes across our path. So, yeah, so thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. I really hope it helps people to basically wake up, that these things, it can be good or terrible things that might be on our path, but if we are not awake, yes, we don't know what's going to happen. That's another important point you made, Gregory. When we make a decision, we don't know what's going to happen next or what's going to come later. And that's why it's very essential to be awake on our journey. So thank you for that. Dear listeners, I want to let you know that you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. If you have, if you'd like to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is what we experience in life is our doing, or as Gregory's put it, through our decisions. So what we experience in life is our doing. Or, the other way is what we experience in life is through our decisions. And if you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. There's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll come across a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, what we experience in life is our doing, which is the topic of the show. And after the show ends at 8 p.m, you can listen to a recording of this show again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the same words, which are Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1, space, Grail Message, space, what we experience in life is our doing. And of course, you can listen to the recording of our other previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.fm/radio/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 there. Now, let's see. So, Gregory, this is another sort of, you could thing that's happened in the world, some terrible things. And this is about, let's say, colonization, which is from history, where it seems that a powerful country is able to take control of a less powerful country or people. And sometimes, surprisingly, the less powerful country might have even a much bigger population than the powerful country. And it just seems that when we talk about powerful country, it seems they have, let's say, guns, while the poor country doesn't have any such weapon, like that strong weapon as that. So it seems they're able to control, you could say, less powerful country. However, Gregory, none of this country in the past have done anything to each other, or at least not outwardly that you would think so. So one wonders, how this can happen. It's not like somebody has, how can I say, been aggressive to the other one, because most of this, in quotes, colonization happened for countries which are far, far apart. There's nothing connecting them to make any, you could say, obvious cause for it. So, Gregory, how can, when we say some countries have experienced this colonization, and then we say, oh, it's our doing or our decision making that led to that. So Now, this time it's not a one person now, Gregory. We're talking about a peoples here. So, what could be the cause of this, or what can explain it?
Thanks for this particular question. And the explanation lies again in the decisions. If an individual or a group of individuals or a community decides not to be on the alert, in the case of one for all and all for one, that means to be able to share the gifts which they themselves harbor for some of the neighbors or some of the people in the community. Some of them may be able to perceive events way ahead and prepare for them. There may be some within the community who are battle ready or have been training themselves so that they can help that community to persist in times of external challenges. When you have a place like the earth in which there are others who are of ignoble disposition, the communities or the human personality must know that there is the need to come together. The need to come together to unite their innate abilities and to be able to proceed forward. If, however, in their indolence, such decisions are not made, then that in itself is a decision which brings ill consequences. That means they were not on the alert, they were not vigilant. If, however, they treasure the freedom which they have had all this while, in being able to live with others in the community in peace and harmony, then the need also arises to provide the security to ensure such communities continue to persist in spite of the challenges. What you yourself call colonization only happens because one community considers itself stronger than the other one. And that being the case, you find the other community has been asleep, has not been awake. Therefore, to be awake is the best decision the human personality or the community must engage in. To be awake not only in deeds, but in their thoughts and in their intuitions. That appertains to the individual and to communities. That is the best defense. Awakeness is the security. Security in battle, security in nature. You can even consider from whatever perspective, that awakeness, which one may also call alertness, which one may also call vigilance. In these three different categories is the best that the human personality must have in order to be able to overcome challenges, which challenges could crush it. Those challenges could be that of, say, food, or, and in that case, you say food security. The other aspect could be material security, in which you have, in the case of war, where people are prepared themselves for possible battles. The same thing happens in the case of health. The human personality, or the combined effect in a community in protecting what they themselves have or what they wish to have, in working vigilantly to accomplish it, that is the best defense. With that, this expression of colonization will be minimized. If, however, these groups or the individual does not get into it to be awake, then it provides the opportunity for another group somewhere who are not of good volition to come and inflict painful experiences on the individuals.
Thanks for this answer, Gregory. I can certainly see vigilance is necessary, of course, to be, in all situations. And of course, if you, in quotes, an enemy or colonizer arrives, the people who are being colonized need to be ready for that. But there's one point there, Gregory, which I'm not sure vigilance can help you. When the country, that is the people that are coming to colonize you with a gun, and you are the one with a bow and arrow or a sword, you can't really beat the one with a gun. So how that vigilance can help you there? Because they are more powerful. Your colonizer is more powerful than the people that are being colonized. Where will you can only hide. But that doesn't stop you from being, how can I say, taken over. So it's not enough. It won't save you, let's say, just to be awake, to be alert. If you're
when it was being discussed, it was said there's the awakeness in deeds which are perceptible to the five senses. There's the vigilance, awakeness, and alertness in thoughts, and also that's in one's intuitions. Before things now precipitate in deeds, that precipitation is what you now call the final things which the human spirit is able to encounter in deeds of flesh and blood, these happenings. Through one's intuitions, through one's thoughts, there are always impressions which must have predated these final happenings. How the individual is able to interpret these and prepare itself, that is a different thing altogether. So through one's intuition, one is able to sense some things and make preparation for it. You do not wait till the last minute, something has now appeared, and then you start responding to it. The human personality must be proactive for impressions within the human personality and impressions outside of the human personality. They always abound in abundance. It is how the human personality responds to these challenges. Which challenges will ensure it is always awake. What one is saying here is that you have to ensure you are healthy through your activities in deeds, in thoughts, and in one's intuition, and do not wait to fall ill before you respond. For the individual who is always alert, changes in signs, that individual is able to interpret it way ahead and make sure it takes the necessary precautions. If, however, that is not the case, in which there are signs, there is sensing of that which is to come, and it is ignored, then being ignored was a decision. Again and again, there must be the alertness. There must be the vigilance. Not only in deeds, because the deeds are only a final precipitation. Therefore, it's necessary to be on the alertness in thoughts, and above all, in spirit, which spirit communicates with the back brain through one's intuitive perceptions. So the alertness and the vigilance which is discussed is not just for the final manifestation, but before these things manifest themselves, to use the appropriate words for it, gross materially, that means it is perceptible to the five senses. An individual is likely to have noticed something, prepared for it, take actions to ensure any effects that may turn out to be unfavorable is avoided, if not completely eliminated.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture you're giving us. What you're clearly pointing to is you can't prepare when it's midnight danger hour. You need to be ready much earlier, which means it's, let's say, even 50 years before something is likely going to happen or could happen, you have to be prepared for that, but try to come in 50 years, which is quite some time. But I guess that's what you need, time to prepare. So it makes sense that, of course, if it, in a way, that's too late. If you just realize, oh, these people are around the corner with the gun, and I'm the one with the bow and arrow or sword, I can't beat them. So that's too late. But obviously, if your intuition was working far ahead, then this situation wouldn't come to that. You'd be ready for it. So thank you for that, making this point. Now, I have got a few sort of different scenarios, which I'm just considering. which I'd like to look at next. Okay. Yes, let me go for this one. So this is like you could say a particular case where a person is suffering pain in the body, and it is unexplained or undiagnosed, and the pain won't go away, and it's but it because the pain is there, the person's mood is going down, and I don't know if this one is that there's no cure for this problem, but Gregory, again, we are saying this experience, whatever experience we go through, is through our decisions, and this one, as I say, it's a health. On the surface, it looks like a health issue, but as I say, let's say doctors in this case are not able to find any sort of sign of a problem, through whatever it is, X-ray, ultrascan, whatever scan it is. They don't, and the pain is still there, and there doesn't seem to be any like a cure for it. And now the consequence of it is the person is having feeling down, so how can one in this scenario, how can one, well, I was using the word survive, but maybe that's not the best word. How can one face this type of situation, or do something about this situation?
There are many ways to consider this. Many ask, I'm in a particular scenario, and the scenario is challenging. To me, basically, it is because, these challenges are not beneficial, are not even beneficial, are not pleasant. For if that individual had $1 million to play around with and go to casinos, they won't say that they have a problem. So that is different. But the scenario in which they are in is unpleasant because they have pain. These are facts. However, one must walk itself away from such a scenario. Why? Because one walked into that scenario without having considered certain activities at the initial stages, the effects of certain activities. When it refers to one's health, most of the time it is what we ourselves have consumed that sort of becomes responsible for how one's health turns out. It could be in exercises, it could be in the food intake, there could be many other things. Therefore, the individual must strive to understand how it needs to proceed from that particular scenario where it's unpleasant and move towards a scenario where it becomes manageable. Many are filled with good volition. That is helpful, but it's not just good volition in accordance to themselves, but good volition in accordance with the laws of nature, of creation, through which they themselves came into existence. It is remarkable that they said in the health sector they couldn't find a solution. It is sad for many because they expect that only through the so-called scientific methods, only through that is where they will find solutions to their health problem. That is very far away. For those who have a good volition, it is very possible that they are well guided to some other activities which will become very helpful to them and minimize that suffering, that particular scenario. What normally happens, even when these individuals are being guided towards areas where they find a solution, many tend to resist. They resist because they consider it's going to be extra work for themselves. And therefore, that particular pain, that particular scenario persists. There should be flexibilities in this. But what one can already say is that in accordance with the way things have been arranged in the world of matter or in creation, the human personality is never, ever alone. Solutions are being proffered to the human personality. It only needs to open up to be able to find out that, yes, this is the solution. Sometimes it may not be in accordance with our own personal expectation. For we may say, okay, we wish to have something which is pleasant to our sensation before it is considered right. If the prescription turns out to be bitter, in the case of drugs, there are some who may refuse it. So, in short, the solution to many a problem may be staring in the face of the individual. The individual needs to open up and ask for guidance in accordance with the laws of creation. Then it will find out why that present condition has persisted for such a long time.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. And again, how you can say, handle this problem, and how our attitude and approach needs to be in addressing this problem, health problem in this case. What we in each of this question that I'm asking, there's a clear one answer, like a fundamental answer in the as a response to the question. That's basically this principle of which whatever we experience is through our decision, and it could be in some cases we don't know, or most cases we don't know what was that decision when it was maybe made long time back, and how it could result in what it resulted with these scenarios that we are looking at. So as you put it very well, Gregory, you walked into this situation. So the way you walked into that situation will help you to know how to walk out of the situation, or at least the cause you will know once you know how you walked into it. Of course, I am aware you unlikely to know that. Well, definitely wouldn't know about it when it's hit you. Rather like a bit of like the colonization. People were not ready when it came, and then they got colonized. Here some pain came about, but something led to that. There were some steps that went to that in that direction, and then led to that. So again, unconsciously, we have done things which has led to what the result that we face today. So that principle of that, how can I say, way or law, or the way life works, is absolute in a way, and one must, I don't just say respect it, one must be aware, conscious, and work with it. Just like you said, Gregory, it must use the laws of the creation, where everything, in which everything happens, to find solutions. And yeah, so thank you for that.
May I just so add that even that which is unfavorable is likely to be very helpful. For as many we understand, only in such dire conditions, do you find that the human personality start asking pertinent questions. And because you have such challenges which are quite painful, many a person becomes humble in their pains. And in such humility, they re-examine many things they have taken for granted. And therefore, they are compelled in humility to open up aright without completely realizing it. But now faced with the certainty or the danger that they may then lose an earth life, they open up and ask for help. In such a case, there is an improvement on the inner attitudes of the human spirit. Then it might then look back and be grateful to that impulse that made it to pass through such challenges, which forced it to re-examine that which has been taken for granted and to change an inner attitude. So that which is unpleasant becomes helpful, whereas that which many a time the individual may claim to be helpful may turn out to be so very unhelpful on the long run.
Thanks a lot again, Gregory, for that. Those words you said there. Yes, so outwardly we may say something is unfavorable or not unfavorable, unpleasant, but actually it may be the best help to wake us up to find the right solution. So yes, so outwardly it looks bad, but it's actually good. And if we are too superficially minded, we would not see that. So thank you for bringing that out. Now, dear listeners, I want to let you know that this is Bless Radio, and you're listening to the spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. UK time to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, that's Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we are discussing tonight is what we experience in life is our doing, or better said, through our decisions. What we experience in life is our doing, or through our decisions. And if you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. There's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which is what we experience in life is our doing. And after the show ends, which is 8 p.m. UK time, you can listen to a recording of this show also on YouTube. Again, you type the same words in the search box, which are Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1, space Grail Message, space what we experience in life is our doing. And of course, you can listen to the recording of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/radio/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 there. Now, let's see, Gregory. Okay. I'm going to go to talk about children, because maybe some people think, oh, children are innocent and sort of too young for them to have suffering. And so the question is, why do children suffer? Is it because of their parents? Okay, this might sound a bit wild, but I will just put it there because some people think this way. They said the children did not choose to be born, but they were brought here by their parents. So the question again, Gregory, why do children suffer? Is it because of their parents?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Most of these statements are made by many who do not reflect deeply enough. And without reflection, they jump to conclusions. A child is born and, in quotes, belong not only to the parents, but to the community. That community one may call a tribe or a nation. So it will be fair, to be a fair question to say children suffer because of their parents or because of their nation. If along the line you have the scenario where in a community there is the one for all and all for one, then you have the scenario where talents are brought into the equation for the security, for the protection of all. Then in that case, all hands are on deck, and it's only fair to protect the younger ones who in their states, in their childhood states, are still in the process of understanding how to make use of their physical body. That's why they are children. They haven't matured to that stage where they know how to control the physical body properly. And the tasks of the parents of the community is to show through example how this one should be. In that case, you will find that once the community, they have acted in accordance with these laws of creation, and the parents have acted in accordance with the laws of creation, then all suffering of the child or of children will vanish. For children, so-called, they only when they have become adults are they free to make decisions, because now they are fully prepared to experience. It's as if the reciprocal activity of their past events, maybe here on earth or hereafter, now in accordance with these laws, have an impact on them. But even before then, children are always protected. More of this one can find in the work In the Light of Truth, the Grail Message. In there, all processes in creation are explained in accordance with the laws of creation of nature.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. And thank you also for referring to listeners to go into the Grail Message for themselves to get the answers. Because what you're saying, our show is about introducing people to the Grail Message, and we cannot go into all the details in every question. So that requires effort from the listener to go and do that. So thank you for that. Now, this is I could say another type of scenario. It seems, Gregory, in the world we have evil people or power-hungry people holding sway on this earth. And you know, let's say as human beings, we always want to have like a justice and peace and love, like you say, all for one and one for all. That is the ideal you could say, wish that we would like the world to be. However, there are this, even if they are a small number, but this, in terms of, I'm talking about evil or power-hungry people, they seem to have a sway over the earth, meaning that, let's say, billions of people are under maybe a few hundred or thousand people's influence, or when I say influence, under it's almost like, Gregory, when I was talking about colonization. So where there's the powerless or less powerful are under the thumb of the powerful. But that was between, let's say, two peoples in most cases. But here, this is let's say, disease of the world, where the powerful seem to overrun the less powerful. And it seems always in a bad or evil way. That's the other thing. If they were doing good for the people, that would be, something, of course, we would be happy about it. So there seems to be this problem. And then, as I say, but maybe I'm making a speculation that in general, I would say people would want to live in, let's say, peace and justice. But it doesn't seem that we ever get there. It always seems it's almost like the minority are able to rule over the majority. So, Greg, can you help us to explain that or understand that?
Such, as you mentioned, has a solution within itself. The so-called minority are those who have access to the so-called wealth, material wealth, and they are able to use that to dictate where things should be. Very simply, it is because the other groups are too indolent to affect changes. They're not only indolent in deeds, but also in their thoughts or in their intuitions. For a human personality that does not take no for an answer, it will keep fighting and fighting, not basically physical fighting, but through its activities, fighting in thoughts, fighting using its own intuition, is able to affect, first and foremost, a change within itself, not with the others. So the individual must change itself, must change its outlook, and know how it needs to proceed. But very sadly, what has been observed, many a person who have had to suffer once, when subsequently that has vanished, the likelihood is that they inflict on others that which they themselves have suffered. So it becomes like the necessary lessons of compassion, of one for all and all for one, has not been learned. And therefore you find that those who, in quotes, have access to material wealth are the ones who dictate where things should be. If it turns out to be wrong, they are not bothered because they are still in control of the material wealth. If, however, each individual, realizing the state of affairs, and decides to be proactive and decides to work with others, before long, that which you refer to as poverty and those who are downtrodden, that scenario will vanish, because it is the individual in their innate maturity, which depends on the type of decisions they have made, that form the firm foundation for progress.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and explanation. Now, I've got, I think, one more scenario. I'm just thinking a little bit on it, which I would like to ask about. So it's a case here of, again, an individual that they believe they're a person who, let's say, are good or have it. What the word that some people use is integrity, meaning that they follow, let's say, the law and good practice. But somehow, and this person, let's say, is an employee, but the company or organization they're working for, let's say, the people running it are, let's say, a bit crooked. If there might be not sure what other word I can use for it, who are not so worried in following the rules or obeying the law, if they can get away with it, let's say like that. And then this person, who's the employee, feels is being asked to do something which is, let's say, illegal or something not right, and they feel they don't want to do it, and then they make, let's say, declare that. But it, how can I say? You think that well, in this case, it seemed that there was some agreement reached that this is okay. They don't have to do this, in quotes, wrong thing. But then, as time went, it seemed it was back to the bad old ways, and now the person felt, oh, I can't continue. The employee, that is, can carry on here. I need to go. And it seems that there's this happens after leaving the job or in the past. The similar things have happened, so it's like a vicious circle of the same issues coming up, and this employee feels like a victim in this situation. So it's not in one place, in other places also. So Gregory and the person thinks they're of a good character and everything, but somehow these things keep repeating themselves. You seem to be attracting or getting caught in this, let's say, not so nice. It's not about nice. It's when you want to be doing, a good work in a, how can I say, healthy and with integrity. So how can, Gregory, one change your fate, if I can say like this, that you can, because you want to do things in a happy manner, which where you feel you have contributed, rather than almost you're living to avoid getting into trouble. So yeah,
the individual that wishes to be good must have a very firm volition in accordance with the laws of creation. That firm volition is not the type of volition which is one-sided. Firm volition in deeds, firm and good volition in thoughts, and above all, in one's intuitions. These are three different categories. So it is not sufficient for one to observe himself or herself and say, look, I have a good volition, that's the end of it. For there is so much evil here on earth that the individual must be perpetually be on the alert, must be very vigilant in all the three different perspectives. Only then will it cultivate around itself that environment which is beneficial, such that you will have that even whilst here on earth, that which is good will urge him on to that which is better. But the individual must not remain static and say, a year or two ago I did something nice and that's sufficient. No. Motion is a law in creation. So the individual must strive to continuously improve itself in accordance with these laws of motion or these laws of creation. Only then will it find that that which is unfavorable, that which is ignoble, start detaching itself from its environment step by step. And before too long, the individual will arrive at that step where all that which is ignoble can no more have an effect on his futures. Then, and then alone, will it say, now it is free.
Thanks very much for this answer, Gregory. I think it's really helpful. Advice, if I can say advice or suggestion to, be vigilant. But there's this law of movement, this constant application, of your vigilance, of your intuition. Life always carries on, so you can't sit still for a moment. So thank you for that. Now, dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of what we experience in life is our doing, or in other words you could use is what we experience in life is through our decisions. So, hope you've enjoyed the discussion. I'm going to now end with short words from the Grail Message at the beginning of the Grail Message, which is titled For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such, it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but it is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdushin. Dear listeners, if you wish to pick up the Grail Message or want to know more about the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a very good week ahead.
Okay, thank you for that. Same from me. Listeners, have a very good week ahead. And we'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. Take care, good night, and God bless.